All right, to the Baja. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to the third installment of To the Baja. The NBA season concluded last week. The Denver Nuggets are your 2023 NBA champions, but there's so much to talk about around free agency, news around the league. The season might be over, but Twitter, NBA Twitter more specifically, is hot this week. We got Isai Romero on the Zoom. We got Mr. Myers here at the DMV stew. Let's get it done, boys. What's cracking?
This has been a crazy last 24 hours. We just saw Bradley Beal get traded from the Washington Wizards. Here, Wizards but DMV baller, Bradley Beal gets traded over to the Phoenix.
DMV 20-5 scorer, Bradley Beal.
All right, y'all. Let's not hate too much. This man Bradley is a certified bucket getter. Now, even though he's not going to help the Suns at all, they're going to be in the same place that they were last year. I think, he'll help him. They'll help him a little bit.
Hey, Isai, are you trying out for the Suns, bro? They don't have a bench.
Bro, hey, give me $10,000. I'll play.
Yeah,
hey, that's all I have.
Okay, they might need to only pay you $5, bro.
They ain't got
only afford $5.
Bro, okay. My thing is like, who are you getting? Like, you have to get rid of somebody to be able, like, campaign. How much campaign money?
It's about $6 million next year.
But never mind. Trade DeAndre. Get him out of here.
No, it's got to be
He's
DeAndre.
Gone.
Especially with the way he played in the NBA playoffs this year. He was just not what they needed. And I just think the Suns have made a few errors. Getting rid of Monty Williams is certainly one of them, in my opinion. And I don't hate the Bradley Beal move if you weren't in this cap situation.
Yeah, no.
I really don't think, and I know a lot of people disagree with me, I do not think that Bradley Beal is that poor of a fit for this Suns team. I really do believe that they're going to have Book run that one. We saw that he could handle the rock way better in the absence of Chris Paul, and I think that's why Chris Paul was really on that trading block. They realized Book could be a 25-7, 25-8 guy with ease, and a guy like Bradley Beal who could go out and give you 35 on any given night. I think this team, especially in that backcourt with Beal and Booker, could be really dangerous, but obviously the Denver Nuggets proved last year you got to have a bench to win an NBA championship.
Yeah, this team is definitely all going to depend on what the Suns can do with DeAndre Ayton. He's making $30 million next year, $34 million. Got a lot of money on that contract. They can move him, get a more athletic, defensive, pick and roll kind of big, pair that up with maybe a shooter off the bench, some other guys, and do what they can to fill out the rest of the squad. But they got a big three that is 90 points a game.
Dare I say, and I know, E, you're going to laugh at me for bringing up my Brooklyn Nets again, but a Nick Claxton package is not that absurd.
What can you package? Because honestly, at this point in his career, is DeAndre Ayton valued more than Nick Claxton? Like, are you going to get more
100%? I think people are forgetting
100%
no. DeAndre Ayton is.
Whoa. We got to disagree.
Whoa. Okay. Go ahead, Ro. Go ahead.
Okay. Ro, come on with this.
I mean, DeAndre Ayton obviously is not your traditional big, right? He can rebound.
He does rebound pretty well.
His defense is not anything. He just lacks tenacity. You know what I mean? It's a character thing for DeAndre Ayton, and I think new scenery will change that. We're forgetting that this guy can go out and score 20, 25 on a double-double any night against anybody in the league, and I understand that he was awful against the Nuggets. That's recency bias talking. Let's rewind 3 months ago. We were talking in a Blaze radio show, Myers, about DeAndre Ayton versus Bam Adebayo.
We were.
And that's a genuine conversation. And I think that we're getting into the recency bias, like I say, but to deal Nick Claxton, do I want that to happen? No. Is it out of the realm of possibility? I think that's an insane statement to say it's out of the realm of possibility.
Yeah, I just think for Aiden it's tough because obviously, although he's super talented, he can get you 18 and 10 for an entire year. He's at the point in his career where every other team knows his Suns don't value him. Every team
Yeah.
knows the Suns want to get rid of him because he's going to be the fourth option, and he's better than that to be a fourth option scoring wise. Claxton is an elite player at what he does, and
Hmm.
I think the Suns will significantly benefit from everything Claxton does well to the point where the Nets are like, you need a rim runner. You need a guy that's gonna block shots and get rebounds and play hard because you have three superstars that want to go out there and get buckets. So they're gonna be like, all right, you need us to give us Aiden. We want a first, maybe, maybe not all that. I don't know if you give
And
up all that for a guy like Nick Claxton.
and my thing is too, Myers. Sorry to cut you off,
No,
but I'm not completely convinced, excuse me, that Bradley Beal is a guarantee to suit up for the Suns.
that's a good point.
Say let's say Nick Claxton and maybe a couple picks. You get Beal, Aiton, maybe you throw in like a Cam Johnson or somebody like that. The Nets get their superstar. That's a whole new rotation for the Brooklyn Nets. The Suns get rid of their cap situation with offloading Beal's contract,
Yeah.
and they get to make some rotational picks in the off season. I don't think that's an outsane or insane of a scenario. However, as a Brooklyn Nets fan, I really hope that doesn't happen.
Yeah, no, I don't see any of that happening. I think the team that the Suns have will stay the way it is, but they're gonna try to move Aiton. Where do we think is the best trade for him? We'll say Claxton is option number one. Any other players you want to throw out there? You think that the Suns should go for?
Miles Turner comes to mind off rip.
Okay.
Um, Somebody like that. It's just hard nowadays with bigs in general.
There's not many.
I was gonna go on my little spiel about Aiton. Aiton's wanted to be a four since he came out of college. Like the Suns have forced him to play five every single year he's been in the NBA, but he doesn't want to play the five. And my thing is when you can't block shots and you can't stretch the floor, like how are you supposed to play? His post moves are pretty generic. He's not really like dogging you in the post. He's more
He's
of a
great
pick
off
and
pick and
roll,
roll.
catch it in the mid range type guy, hit you with a floater, hit you with a pull up, but he's not going to cook you in the post. So my thing is if they're going to keep DeAndre Ayton, they have to go to him and say, we need you to make drastic changes here and here in order for you to be able to help this team. And if not, he has to go. Like the DeAndre Ayton experiment has been going on for too long to where like we gotta have a make a break point. If he's not gonna play defense, if he's not gonna rebound, like should be no reason that Jokic is demolishing him on the boards. Like Jokic is a really good rebounder, but I still think Aiton could have showed more effort and things like that. But to be honest, I like to. It's hard to say. Like Aiton's just such a weird fit. He can't really defend.
He
He
is a very
scores the
bizarre
ball pretty solid,
talent.
but I just get worried on just defense. Like what a team has to be able to combat, have a rim protector either coming off the bench or alongside him for him to be successful. And he has to be able to stretch the floor to be on the floor with another big, and he can't do that yet. So
Yeah.
the Suns are in a tough spot.
I feel for the Suns and DeAndre Ayton, it's tough too because, like you mentioned, he needs to, change some things about his game if he wants to play with these kind of superstar players. They just fired their head coach, Monty Williams, who probably spent a couple years being like, hey, DeAndre, we need you to work a little harder on the defensive end of the basketball. I want to see you really scrap it with some of the other bigs around the league. And I thought there was a trust there between all those guys. I guess the relationship fell apart over the last year or so with him and Monty Williams. Now they have Frank Vogel as their head coach. And I think the issue with Vogel is that he's just coming in the door, right? He doesn't have any built up trust with Aiton or anything like that. So going to him being like, yo, I need this from you. I don't know you. Like we know each other through NBA media, through playing against each other, whatever. But I don't have any trust in your philosophy. I don't have trust in the plan you have for me and this team. Why should I listen to you? And I feel like Aiden's the kind of character where you can't just like take the harsh criticism and improve off of it. It'll be tough. I think the best thing for Aiden, like Rona said, was a new scenery, a new place, somewhere he can be different and play the role that he's best at.
And the NBA is a business. I mean, we're talking about free agency. the talent of a player and the coaching staff is certainly not the only thing that's relevant. He's a $30 million contract. You have 5 players contracted on your team. He has to go.
Yeah.
DeAndre Ayton is leaving the Phoenix Suns. There is no if and buts about it, unless on the off chance they deal Beal
Which
before he
I
suits
don't.
up.
Yeah, I don't see why they do that. Like KD was recruiting him. Like him and Book definitely want him there. And we've seen Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton's relationship be a little rocky throughout each of their NBA careers. So I agree with Ronan. I think DeAndre's got to be gone.
Do we think this trade makes the Suns um, a better team than they were before? Their betting odds from Vegas went a little bit better after this trade, but do you think this team is now a shoo-in to make the conference finals? Anything E, you're shaking your head. What do you think?
I just think, to me, we just saw a team with, again, the best player in the world, Jokic, not by far, but we saw them win with guys who play good defense, who hit open shots, and who play hard. Like Bruce Brown, like he'll get you 20 some nights, but that dude plays hard. He plays defense. Same thing with Aaron Gordon. I think same thing for Jamal Murray. I think he's done better defensively. My thing is I feel like the NBA has to get away from this model of we can go out and we can put 3 guys that can score 25, 30 points a night and win a basketball game, because that's just not always going to happen. You're going to have guys miss shots. You're going to have guys have bad nights. And I mean, not to say that Bradley Beal's not the best defender. Like he's a average, I think personally, an average defender.
Mm-hmm.
And you just need to surround your team with just better guys. And the Suns didn't have that. I don't know what was going on with Chris Paul. DeAndre Ayton had a problem when they were playing the Suns. Like that locker room has been a problem as well. So I think this super team model just has to get away from it. Like
it hasn't worked. Like
exactly.
We think about
Nets.
Like the last
Shoot,
Nets.
my bad.
Definitely.
Bro, you're a Thunder fan.
They drafted their guys though. They made to a I'll give them that. But no, you're right. The super team model hasn't worked. Who do you think the Suns are going to try to pick up whoever they can? Like obviously they're going to try to load off Ayton and make more cap space, whatever they can do. But
okay, I got 2 names for you.
Okay.
Nikola Vucevic and Brook Lopez are both have player options this year.
Okay.
Both of them are about half the contract that DeAndre Ayton is. Vucevic, I think, sits at around 20, 17.5. Lopez is in the low teens. You get a guy like that gives you 2 solid role player contracts, and then you're going to have scrubs. I think the Suns, quite frankly, have to get a little lucky here in free agency and try to package something together. My thing is even in the trade scenarios, they still, like you said earlier, everybody doesn't necessarily want DeAndre Ayton, or if they want him, they know that the Suns definitely don't want him.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes it really tough for them to deal anybody. I'm just kind of at a loss. I mean, those are 2 great 5s that have been fantastic in the last few years in the stuff that the Suns need and just general defense, rebounding, especially Brook Lopez. Vucevic obviously hasn't really been in form this year, but he's still no slouch. Yeah, I mean that like besides that, dude, who can they even get? I mean, Jeremy Grant's, I think, on a player option, but even then, he's not your 5.
Yeah, no. I mean, you talk about Miles Turner. You mentioned him earlier. That's a great name, but his money is
Vucevic. I like. I mean, Valanciunas. My bad, Valanciunas. I like Valanciunas there as well. He'd be a solid big for them.
But again, I don't see the Pelicans wanting to deal him. Like that's again a player where like you want to keep that big body for the Pelicans. Like, do you want to deal a quality inside center when you have scoring around that? You're looking at Zion when he's healthy, BI when he's healthy, CJ McCollum. You don't need a scoring big. You need a rebounder, a rim protector. It's just unfortunate. I feel like Aiden's play style he's one of those guys where it's kind of like Cat but worse. where he can play great basketball on a bad team and do well. But I don't see him being a focal point on any good team because they do the other things they need from a good team's big. Having a 5 nowadays that can't rebound, that can't rim protect, is you're not going to win that way. I mean, Jokic he's not the best defender, but he's so good offensively it doesn't matter. Ayton isn't. He's just kind of there, and I worry, especially considering the fact that the Suns have to go for it now, so you have to make some half good trade and see what they can do.
I think if DeAndre Ayton can shoot the 3 ball, this conversation is completely different, right? Because that's his biggest problem on offense is that he can't space the floor. Like, he doesn't play outside of the free throw line unless it's a pick and roll. You know what I'm saying? So, like, if he can find a way to knock down open threes and things like that, I think that completely changes our conversation. But I totally agree with you, Myers. Like, he's kind of like Cat. By the way, Cat, you're crazy. You've changed the game as much as I have, and I hadn't been even playing college. I don't even know what you're talking about. That's crazy, bro. Bro is outlandish. Like,
People
what did we
got on
change?
podcast start saying whatever.
Bro plays on the Timberwolves. They ain't done nothing. Like, what?
No.
Bro, out there. Hey, man, I changed the game. When people say I'm retired, I changed the game. What did you change?
I feel bad because Pat Bev out there on the podcast too, like being like, "Nah, bro, you did change the game, bro. You did it. You good, bro." Pat, don't lie to him. You're supposed to be the mean one. Pat, don't lie to bro. Hey.
That podcast, bro. I saw somebody on Twitter say, "This is the girl sleepover after somebody break up." You're amazing. You done nothing wrong. I'm like,
bro.
What we did in 2021 with the T-Wolves was special. Like, wait,
bro.
Hold on. What they do again?
Bro.
Oh, they want a play-in game? All right, but moving on from DeAndre Ayton, we're going to move to the second half of that trade. Chris Paul to the Wizards. The Wizards were already in shambles, but now even more so. I mean, I think I can hear the Verizon or Capital One Arena falling down in the distance, Myers. Both of us DC natives have enjoyed watching the Wizards do absolutely nothing in our lifetime. How do we feel about this Chris Paul scenario? Obviously, he's going to get bought out and traded for pieces. What are you thinking here?
I didn't think this team could get any more mediocre. I did not think this franchise could get any more mid than it has been over the last half a decade. And somehow trading the one player that can get you 30 any night, that's done that. I don't know. I mean, you get Landry Shamet as well, which is chump change. I love Landry Shamet. He's a Clippers player, but he's pointless. He's just there. He's out here running suicides and passing the ball back to Devin Booker. And then Chris Paul, if he gets bought out, I guess you save money, which I don't know why they signed Bradley Beal for that $50 million contract in the first place. Everybody said when Bradley Beal was going to sign for 5 years, $250 from the Wizards, that it was pointless. And he did it, and we're like, why? And then 2 years later, they're trading him because it's pointless. The Wizards don't
currently
benefit.
their best player on the roster could be Denny. What's his last name?
Denny.
I don't even know how to say it.
No. It's Kyle Kuzma, but
he's on a player option too.
Yeah, but I think he's still gonna stay though because he wants the money.
I'm declining that player option.
There's more space. They have so much money
Bro.
now. They can give him so much money.
Bro, I think Kuz gone. I think they want to trade Kristaps.
Kristaps on a player option too.
Yeah, no,
they're both gone.
Yeah,
they're both.
They could just blow it up, which they need.
They
to
could
do.
blow it up. I could play for the Wizards.
Yeah,
man.
Honestly, no, it's just mid, and nobody cares about the Wizards, which kind of sucks. Even though we're from here, nobody really cares about the Wizards.
Nobody's a Wizards fan. Shout out Justin Lacertosa. Imagine being from the state of New Jersey. You got the Nets, Sixers, and Knicks right there, and you're like, nah, you know what? I'm going to be a Wizard.
Elvin Hayes.
Elvin Hayes.
That's who I want. Elvin Hayes. Bro, they haven't been good since Elvin Hayes, bro.
Well, let's give John Wall some credit.
I mean, they were a playoff team for a minute. But
okay.
Yeah, now the Wizards is kind of in that space where they should just blow it up. I like the Suns shipping off Chris Paul. I think the Wizards did them a huge favor. If he were to not get bought out, which makes no sense to me, then he'd make some guys play decent basketball when he's healthy, but that's about it. And then hopefully he does get bought out because they have some more cap space and they can do what they want to do with that.
I mean, my thing is 37-year-old Chris Paul, has the ability to be the starting point guard on a very good team. I don't think 37-year-old Chris Paul has the ability to be the best player on a good team.
Very true.
If that makes sense.
No, it
course.
makes a ton of sense. No chance.
And I just think the Wizards got to get rid of him. They got to move on. They got to maybe pick up some picks. That's what you got to go for. You're in a full rebuild out here in Washington. And I would love to see where Chris Paul lands. I mean, it's going to be a 1, maybe 2-year deal on a team that has a chance to win a championship. That's who's going to want him, like a Boston Celtics.
Yeah.
Like a Los Angeles Lakers, a team that needs a
Clippers.
consistent one, a Clippers. And I'm excited for Chris Paul because Chris Paul kind of is going to get the best teams in the NBA looking to pick him up for chump change. And I think that's going to both benefit him and the Washington Wizards in the long run.
Oh, for sure.
Can-
what do you want to say?
I was gonna say I wanted to make a sleeper pick. The Bucks. I think the Bucks is
Not bad at all.
a perfect fit for Chris Paul. Like genuinely, first of all, I think Middleton's got to go. That's my first thing.
Middleton's contract's up this year. I think he has a player out.
Yeah. So I think a Chris Paul fits good, and also the Clippers. The Clippers is an obvious one. So is the Lakers, but I think the Bucks would really benefit from having a guy that can distribute the ball to shooters and Giannis, of course, and give you a solid 15 points on all mid ranges and free throws. So I like
How do
Chris
you
Paul
make
there.
the Los Angeles Clippers more injury prone?
No.
Let's
I have
add
so
Chris
much
Paul.
because I have so much to say about this entire this whole saga with Chris Paul coming back. So Chris Paul's family is still living in LA. Even when he moved across to Oklahoma City and then back to the Suns, he never really moved his family out there. I guess he didn't like the area enough to stay. A lot of his fam, especially his kids, they still live out in LA.
That's kind of wild. I didn't know that.
No. I heard about it today. So a lot of reports have been he wants to go back to LA. I mean, he's 37, he wants to be with his family, so he wants to go to LA. I think the issue with the Clippers is that, again, the injuries are the most obvious, right? He hasn't played that many games lately, and he's old. He's not going to play every game. And this team cannot get more injury prone. I can't do it with this team if they get more injury prone. But the Lakers, I think, could really fit him well. I think having Chris Paul there, especially gives a little bit of floor general load off of LeBron James. You have so many athletic guys, so many guys that want to play fast and play hard, that Chris Paul can come in there if they need and change the pace a little bit, and that would be fun. And I think he just fits the squad very well.
I agree. Just one fact is the Lakers have a little bit more cap room to move around, and they already have Austin Reeves. So theoretically, if you keep Austin Reeves and you keep Rui Hachimura, which is who you want to maintain at the bare minimum, you have the cap space to go after a quality player. Not obviously a James Harden, but a Kyrie Irving. Just gonna list some of the PGs available. There's a lot. You got, like what I said, Kyrie Irving, a Fred VanVleet, even a Chris Middleton. Like, there's guys that are just a little bit above what Chris Paul would give you, and if I'm the Lakers, that's who I'm gonna go for, as opposed to like my plan C.
That's true.
But on the flip side, the Clippers don't have that luxury. That is their plan A, is to go out and get a guy like Chris Paul. And if I'm Chris Paul and I'm looking at the team I used to play for my prime of my career, I'm going to be like, yeah, I'd rather go play with the same organization and most likely retire with that organization than wait to see if Braun wants me. You know what I mean? It's going to be interesting because I think a lot of times when people look at NBA free agency more specifically than other sports, there's very few guys that can go on the floor at any given time in the sport of basketball, and I feel there's so many moving pieces if one team is looking at Chris Paul, there's 3 teams that are also looking at Chris Paul, and 1 or 2 teams are probably better fits.
Yeah, no, I think with Chris Paul, I would love to see him back on the Clippers as long as that didn't mean they would sacrifice Russell Westbrook. I think what Russ brings to this Clippers team in terms of his ability to push the pace, his ability to attack the rim and put pressure on the rim, his ability to create for teammates just off of like a blink of an eye. Whereas Chris Paul needs more of a pick and roll, he needs more of a slower pace, which I don't mind. But in the half court, that's time away from Paul George, away from Kawhi Leonard that I don't necessarily want to take if they're healthy. Again, seeing them all healthy would be the best thing, but I don't think it's going to really happen. I think it's just iffy. Like, if they can get him in a buyout and it's cheap, I don't see why not. But I also don't think the Clippers necessarily need him, nor is it going to make them that much better at anything, to be honest. I think this is kind of there.
I agree. Also, my bad, I forgot one. I like the Spurs since, the Spurs are drafting Vic. If the Spurs, as a last resort for Chris Paul, he can go in. They can try to compete if they can get another.
What, 12?
Bro, the way they talking about Vic's going to be the next reincarnation of Jesus.
The way they talking about Vic, bro, he got to go out and have 45.
If
he's not putting up Wilt names.
If he doesn't, I agree. If he doesn't average 25 and 10 his rookie year,
do we want to change up our script here and just talk about Wemby right now?
You might as well, actually. I want to hear
because I think we very agree. I mean, you could go first. You'll articulate it a little bit better, but I'll just say overrated.
I think I don't necessarily think overrated yet.
They're saying he's a better prospect than Anthony Davis. They're saying he's a better prospect.
Could be. Which I just think giving somebody all this hype it's going to put a lot of pressure on him to be great in those first few years where he's probably going to need to develop. But I mean, out the gate, we look at him. He's a athletic big / wing that can handle the rock, hit it from outside. He can get on an island and kind of cook you. He's going to block shots. He's going to be a solid defender. We always talk about this. My only worry is injury. One tear, one something, like an Achilles tear, he tears his meniscus, something happens like that. I just don't think it's going to be super hard for him to recover since he's 7'5" or whatever the heck he is. But if he can stay on the court, there's no way that at least on the defensive end, he's going to be absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, I think for Wemby, it's one of those things where he's going to have to just stay healthy, right? I think there are a lot of aspects of his game that are extremely overrated that are going to not trend to the NBA level. The two most being are his ball handling and his three-point shooting. I think at his height, being able to dribble the ball at all and shoot the ball at all is an insane skill. He shot 29% from 3 this season.
Yeah,
and he's
27.
he's 7'4". Yeah, 27 and a half, my bad. Yeah, he's 7'4". So nobody's contesting his shot. He's just missing 3-point looks. And he still averaged 22, 10, and 3. So his ability to block shots, play defense is going to be probably his best skill set in the NBA. I just think you're going to have to find a role for him because honestly, like we talked about this before, what is his best position? Would you play him at a 5? Is he like a stretch 4 kind of guy? Like, where do you even want to play him?
We've argued about this. I think he could be the best weak side shot blocker in the league the second he gets in there. That frame, his ability to move across the key, he has great awareness both in transition and in the half court. He has the mind of like a LeBron James type. I don't want to give him too much credit, but seeing the play beforehand is pretty evident when you watch his highlights. But I just got to say, 2K taught me one thing. If you make a guy who's super tall and super skinny, he's not going to be that good. He's going to get bodied in the paint where you need him to defend, and he's too tall and lanky to be able to do what you want him to do on the offensive end. Like, we're talking about him, like you said, how he's been talked about. They're saying he's a shoe-in best prospect since LeBron James. Some crazy pundits are even going out and saying that he's a better prospect than LeBron James, which is absolutely ridiculous. This guy is playing in the Euro LNB Pro A,
French League.
The French League. 21.6, 10 rebounds, 2 assists. His
3 block
splits
shots.
are 56, 27, and 82. Okay? Last year, the season beforehand, so when he was, I believe, 17, then 18, in the same league, he averaged 9.4 on the same team, getting the same amount of minutes. That's a huge jump to make, yes. It's also the French league. What do we really know about the French league? Absolutely nothing. I think that it's not an insane statement to say that it's probably significantly shorter, smaller, and less quality than college basketball in the USA. In you look at how the NCAA is set up, and now even the G League, these guys are big, fast, strong, smart. They can do everything. You have to do everything on the basketball court to be in the NBA now. You can't shoot 27% on 21 points in the French league and expect that to translate perfectly to the NBA, because now you're going to run into guys who are getting in your face. You're going to run into Kevin Durant, who's there on the wing, that's going to be up there. I mean, he's not going to be able to block your three-pointer with your 7'4" frame, but he's going to be there. Bam Adebayo is going to be there. He's going to be making it difficult. These guys are quicker off the pick and roll. I mean, we got at least 30 years of basketball pedigree here in the United States. So I feel that it's really hard for European players to translate. Let's talk about how few have really done it at a high level. Dirk, Luka,
The
Gasol brothers. But even those
Ginobili.
guys, Ginobili, Tony Parker, that's not many.
I give Gobert that credit too. I think he
And
Are
I
you
agree.
serious?
let 3 defensive player of the years. We're not gonna get into this debate.
Okay,
again,
we're not.
Stop.
Hey, let's stop.
Oh
So
my
speaking of another French dude who put up the same numbers and was not touted that highly of a prospect. So I'm really bare on Victor Wembanyama, and I just don't like how the media has played in. It's become a marketing tool as opposed to how good he actually is as a basketball player, and I'll just leave y'all with that. I talk for like 5 minutes, but I get so heated, especially Justin Lacertosa and George Lund. If you're watching this, I'm going to be right.
I just think two main things for me. When Wembanyama, you guys ever like show up to an AAU game or a tournament or things like that, you're a top seed or you're playing a team that maybe doesn't look so good, and you're like, oh snap, like we're just gonna smack these guys like no hesitation. Then they come out and they whoop you. That's the kind of mindset I think Vic has. Vic is being told that he's gonna go into the NBA and be so successful off rip, and he's gonna do these things like average 25, 10, and 3 blocks. He's going to do it on good efficiencies. The NBA isn't that hard to play in. Luka's been saying that. So, like, I feel like going into that, I feel like we're going to see him maybe get punched in the mouth for those first 10, 15 games. Like, there's just, it's going to be, again, people who say the NBA isn't physical are dumb. I just don't agree. Like, Vic isn't going to be able to be as successful until he gains a little bit of weight. Kind of the same thing as Chet. I just don't think. Also, at his height, he's having to pull the ball. Like, he puts the ball really, really centered. So on his 3-point attempt, somebody like a Kevin Durant, they're just going to be able to put their arm out at his chest and force him to move his shot line. Like, there are just type of things that you can see in his tendencies and things like that he's just going to need to work on in the NBA. Yes, I think his ceiling is super, super high, but there's just adjustments that need to be made. I don't think he's going to come into the league and be an immediate, like, top 25 player, top 30 player. I feel like that. I agree with you in that sense, Ronan, that's ridiculous. That, like, somebody out of a French league is going to come in and just dominate the
only
NBA.
One that's done it.
Yeah, I mean,
and we're acting. Sorry to cut you off, Myers. We're also acting like Luka Doncic has done anything. Like, these guys are predicting NBA championships on a guy who's never played on the hardwood in America. I'm sorry. Chet Holmgren is going to go down as a better player than Victor Wembanyama. You got it right here. Chet has played At Gonzaga, he's been just as highly touted as a recruit up until his college career. Then he gets hurt. Now he's going into an excellent system in Oklahoma City.
Very true.
Wembanyama is going to go to a trash team in the Spurs. I get it. Popovich is one of the best to ever do it, but how many years is Popovich going to be a coach in the NBA? I mean, he's on that conversation of retirement is on the horizon for Greg Popovich, and I just personally do not have the confidence that the Spurs are going to be able to magically turn around with a 7'4" guy when they have nobody who can really ball handle, nobody who can really get it to him in the spots he needs to be. And I think he's going to suffer like DeAndre Ayton has of being a not that great of a defender, not that amazing of a rebounder when he plays against good rebounders. And he can't shoot the three, so he can't stretch the floor. It's tough.
I just think that he's so young. I'm going to push back on both of you guys a little bit because I do agree with everything you guys have mentioned about Vic. But I'm saying the pushback is in the hate would not be as strong if the media push would not be as high. I think if he had the same amount of media attention as LaMelo Ball had when he was in Australia, we'd be saying, oh my God, this kid has to go one. This kid is so talented. They were talking about LaMelo Ball. And LaMelo Ball stats, when he was playing in Lithuania, he was shooting in the mid-20s from three as well. And look how he turned out in the league. And I think that when you look at a guy like Vic, obviously the talent is there. So I can't come and sit here and act like he's not going to translate decently to the NBA. We talk about three-point shooting, and we were talking about Scoot Henderson, a guy that's probably going to go at 2. He shot, 29% from 3 for G League Ignite this year, and he's a 6'2" point guard shooting those kind of stats. I think Vic, his ceiling is so high that I'm not going to sit here and just bash him for things that we don't know if he can do yet. I think his defense is going to be on top. I think his ability to protect the paint, and unlike a lot of guys, because he's lighter, he's a little bit more mobile. He can close out on guys quicker, and he can still shuffle and get back to the rim and protect. That's going to be a huge skill set for him. He'll be an elite defender. I'm knocking on that right now. And then offensively, he doesn't really have anything where I'm looking at like, whoa, he can do this really well. But he does everything good enough where he'll find his buckets and he'll get in his rhythm. It'll take time. He's going to start off slow, I think. But when he gets into the groove of playing at that speed, at the physicality, he's 7'4", and he can move. He'll adjust. He'll adjust.
And my final thought would be is what he mentioned. As soon as he makes those adjustments, he's not going to have the longevity that a Scoot Henderson has. By the time he makes those adjustments, he's got 2-3 years.
Again, Scoot's problem is that Scoot's hyper athletic, and so if again we lose that athleticism and he can't shoot the three ball at an efficient level, what do we have? You know what I'm saying?
I don't think his scoring's that polished. I watch him play in like short series, and the buckets he's getting, uber athlete, don't get me wrong, like insane level athleticism. But you're right. I mean, if he gets injured, knock on wood, he doesn't. Any guy can get injured, but he doesn't really have like a pace to his game that I like. Like I don't see him slowing it down off a pick and roll and pulling up from mid range or hitting any of these like change of direction kind of moves. He's like, get me downhill. I'm bigger than you. I'm faster than you. I'm stronger than you. I'm going to hit you like a linebacker and then dunk on your head top, which is a great way to play basketball when you can do it.
Reminds me of Russell Westbrook so much.
It really does. But I think it's just one of those things where you could see him being like Russ as an inefficient scorer, highly inefficient. And if he gets drafted by the Hornets where he's projected to go, that mess of a franchise is not going to make him a more polished player at all, I don't think. So we'll see how that even goes.
But moving on, staying on our free agency wave, but still talking about the young core in the league, Zion Williamson on the trade block. And you were just talking about the Hornets a second ago. People have been talking about it. I'm going to take you off camera right now. Because, oh, my God, bro. All right, cut this. I hope I remember to cut this.
I can't do it, bro. That's so funny. Bro, he's like, all right, we're good.
All right, sit just like that. E. You were leaning a little bit to the side. Just stay like that. The Tupac. All right, we're gonna wrap this up. I guess we got our blooper for the end of the pod, but to continue before we were rudely interrupted by Esai's immaturity. It was supposed to be a jokey. You're allowed to laugh now.
Okay, I'm making sure. I try not to say nothing too wild.
But Zion Williamson obviously has been in the press for some not great things, with lack of a better term. Looking like he might get dealt, which is kind of an interesting scenario because obviously Zion was such a great prospect, and when he's healthy, he's been fantastic in the NBA. But as we've said so many times on this podcast, being available is a skill, and that's certainly one that Zion Williamson doesn't have. How do we feel about these rumors, boys?
Yeah, so I guess the main rumor that we've been seeing is a trade between Zion and to the Charlotte Hornets for that second overall draft pick. And I think it's not as crazy as people think it is. Obviously, when Zion's healthy, he's almost 30 points a game on like 60-something% efficiency. One of the most dominant interior presence we have in the game. But I think he's missed so much time where his value can only be capped so high. He's played only 114 of the Pelicans' 314 games he's been available. He's been rostered to play in. 4 years, he's missed 200 games. That's insane for a player that young. And with his weight and his size, is he going to get healthier later in his career? I don't really think so. I feel like guys like him, if you're not healthy early, are you really going to be healthy late? And I don't want to give up on him because he's so good. I think that having him on your roster is worth it, but I don't know if you want to continue to build around a guy that just isn't available to play, especially when your window is kind of good for the Pelicans right now. And they're fully healthy. They're a great team. B.I. is a borderline all-star. C.J. McCollum is 20-6.
Another borderline all-star.
Yeah, borderline all-star. Jonas Valanciunas, we talked about him earlier. Amazing big inside. Herb Jones, Trey Murphy, those kind of dudes.
Good team.
They got a really good roster, and wasting more years on Zion's inability to stay healthy, I don't know how worth it that is to you when you could go out there and get like a generational talent in a Scoot Henderson, or maybe you go for a Brandon Miller or a Thompson twin or something like that at the 2 spot.
See, correct me if I'm just being dumb here, boys, but like, is Zion Williamson really only worth a singular first-round draft pick?
No, way more.
No. He'd go, if me personally, I'd package him for the 2 pick. I'd probably go Zion, and then you probably have to throw in either one of Murphy or Herb Jones. You have to throw in one of them, and then they'd give you the 2. For Scoot, personally, with Zion's availability, I don't hate that trade.
You're a trip. Whoa. Finish your trade.
Bro.
Finish your trade.
I wouldn't even finish it. The second, they probably have to give up the second overall pick, a first from the Hornets, and then like a PJ Washington or somebody like that.
That's
PJ
insane.
Washington's unrestricted free agent, I believe, this year.
But
or
even
on a player option.
that level of player, so what?
We didn't get the joke?
We
didn't get the joke?
That was
you
funny.
know what he did. Oh,
Yeah.
my God.
You didn't get the joke? My bad. I'll be serious, though. Like, they'd give up Zion.
For those who's the joke. Oh, my God. You got me messed up, bro. Because I was like, why you bring up PJ Washington? He on a player option.
Sense.
Oh, shout out Brittany Renner. Rona Hiccup Consulting, MBA.
Wait, so we'll say, but okay. So what kind of player would you package? Not PJ Washington, but who would you package in that trade?
I mean, genuinely, I'd give up Zion, and then you'd probably have to give up your first in the draft, maybe the draft. What pick do they have? I don't know what pick they have off my top of my head. But they probably have to give up Zion, that pick, and then you'd probably go. I wouldn't hate a number 2, and then like I don't even know. Like the Hornets don't have anybody to give. Like Terry Rozier? Like, I don't know. Like,
So the Pelicans have the 14th pick in the draft. I think Zion and the 14th pick in the draft
I think that's
is too much for. I'm sorry, I love Scoot Henderson. We were just talking about how good of a player he's gonna
Clay,
be,
though.
bro. 29% from three for a 6'2" guard, and you're gonna trade a pick and a generational talent for that?
Okay, would you rather have
No.
somebody play? Would you rather have somebody play all 82 games and shoot 29% from three, but give you like 18, or play 20 games and be busy in Dallas doing what he was doing, just messing around? Like, we know what he's been doing.
Look,
now.
I know what you look, and I get it. And I'm not saying that trading Zion and the pick isn't worth it, but I think Zion alone is worth that pick and a Terry Rozier, not Zion plus a Pelicans pick for the second overall pick in Terry Rozier. Zion is the only thing the Pelicans need to give up in this trade to get a top 3 pick, in my opinion. I think his talent level is worth it, where that he's worth a Scoot Henderson or a Brandon Miller. I don't think that's crazy to say.
I would just say one thing is the upside of Scoot Henderson, right, who you have no idea who he's going to be, equal the upside of a Zion Williamson, who you know how good he could be. And I feel like the Pelicans did a lot to get Zion Williamson. There was a lot of hype around that draft pick. They did a lot. Guys like Josh Hart got dealt out. That team, they had a team. Yeah. And they got rid of a lot of people and brought in C.J. McCollum to be on the Zion wave. And I think they gotta give him at least a sliver of a chance. But also, you look at the media, like you were saying, and how it's coming out about stuff like in Dallas and stuff that's going on in his personal life. And I just feel like as a front office, it's harder to keep your boat attached to his. I mean, I don't want to say Zion Williamson's a sinking ship, but like, dude, you're not James Harden. Like if you want to go out and be a character and do stuff, you still got to show up and drop 45.
Yeah.
If you want to be out in Houston at the clubs on a Thursday and have a game Saturday morning, you better drop 40 like James Harden was doing.
Yeah, you can't be out all night partying, being around the town, whatever, and then show up to the game the next day in street clothes. It's like,
and I mean,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, looking from Zion's perspective as well is like, how demoralizing would that be if now your roster's flaking? Like, let's be real, your roster's flaking, and you're gathering stuff, girls like talking about you on the media, things like that, and now your team's like, man, we don't even want you. So now, like, what do you like? They're talking about trading you to Charlotte. So like, how much more does that play into you, like being like, dang, I don't really want to lose weight. Dang, I don't want to do this. I'm not playing. Blah blah blah.
I think too, get real conspiracy on you. It could be something like, hey, Zion, we're thinking about trading you with no intention of actually trading him. Just try to put some fire underneath of him. But regardless, I think it would be a crazy move at the end of the day to deal Zion Williamson for the chance of the number 2 pick.
So
if this was a Wemby conversation, that might be a little different. But for a Scoot Henderson, for a Thompson twin, for a Brandon Miller, those guys that are circulating the top, like, I don't know.
The Hornets have to put a very compelling package. Yeah. Not just the pick, in my opinion. If I'm the Pelicans, to be like, yeah, I'm going to get rid of this guy in Zion. That's proven. It's not like he's a guy where I can say he's been a bust. He's not a player where you watch him play and you're like, man, he sucks. When he plays, he is insane, like perennial all-star year after year type of insane. Your team's going to finish top 5 in the West kind of insane.
They were up.
They were
they were the 2 seed for half the season. And Zion wasn't even playing every game at that point. I mean, he was still spotty with his availability. And I just think with the way that the West is laid out, anybody can win at any given day. It is wide open compared to the East. And I just feel that the Pelicans got to stick with the decision they made in 2017.
Yeah,
they got to.
It's a real catch-22 with
how wide. Oh, my bad. Go ahead, Mars. My bad. My
I was
bad.
gonna say it's a catch-22 because obviously you want to stick with the guy you drafted that's proven he can win you some when he's healthy. The issue again is if he's not healthy, you're gonna waste time with guys that are only gonna get older. And
So, Ro, I heard you say that how wide open is the East. I wanted to discuss that. Like,
West or East?
I
West or
don't.
East?
I mean, you said
The
the
West.
East is not that wide open. You said the East
I
wasn't
said
that
the
wide
East
open.
is not. I'm talking about in terms of playoffs, how the playoffs are going to shift. I think the East is going to stay pretty same top to bottom, 1 through 8. I mean, there's going to be some shift. Obviously, who knows who's going to win the East? But I think the West, if you're a team, any team besides maybe the Rockets, maybe the Spurs, can make the playoffs, and that's what I was saying.
Okay. I was just wondering to make sure I was hearing you right. But yeah, I just don't. Again, back to Zion. I think you give him another chance. Personally,
okay,
give him another
so
chance. See if he's healthy at the beginning of the season.
so we're all in agreement. Zion stays with the Pelicans. The trade doesn't happen because it probably isn't worth it at the end of the day. I think Zion. People forget how good of a basketball player he is, and they gotta remember that he's gonna be healthy and win you a lot of basketball games when he is healthy. Yeah. But I want to get on to you spoke about the East being wide open, and we talked
West
about
being wide open,
the West
East
being wide
not,
open, East
yeah.
not being wide open. But the East not being wide open is funny because the Dame trade reports between the Portland Trailblazers and the Miami Heat have been falling apart. Dame reportedly said today, per Shams, who the GOAT we trust, that Damian Lillard is down to stay in Portland, and he's just leaving it in the hands of the Trailblazers. They want to trade him, they trade him, but he's down to stay in Portland, which bro just does not want to win, do we? Like I don't know how long you can be on a team that's 35 and like 50 every year.
I can't begin to explain to you how upsetting this is to me. I have sat here as a Brooklyn Nets, New Jersey Nets fan, watching no winning, justifying ABA championships from the 70s. Shout out Dr. J. And almost every year throughout my childhood, I hitched my bandwagon to a superstar because the Nets were not worth watching. It was James Harden and Damian Lillard have been my two favorite players since I became an NBA fan. Why can't somebody win something? Dame, bro, Portland is trash. It's rainy. It's cold. Let's go to LA. Let's go to Miami. And let's win an NBA championship. Like, bro, please. I can't be sat here next to my freaking son telling him, oh, my God, you don't know who Damian Lillard is? Let me pull up Damian Lillard. Hey, let me show you every angle of the shot he takes over Paul George.
True.
He has two of one of the best shots in NBA history. He's one of the best playoff performers that never makes the playoffs because he's on the Portland Trailblazers.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, my God, bro. I'm sweating out here. I can't stand it, dude. Like, I get loyalty, but that organization owes you nothing. They've made no effort to win anything. You are a check to the owners of the Portland Trailblazers and that front office, and it just gets me so torn up. It's like watching like one of your friends, like some dude talks trash about one of your friends and he's still like friends with him. Yeah. You know what I mean? But and he doesn't know. But you can't you can't tell you already told him.
But he doesn't want to listen.
But he doesn't want to listen. I'm like, Dame, listen to me. Damian Lillard, go to the Heat, go to the Lakers, go to somewhere where you can win. Thank you.
I just want if he stays, I wish there was some like sense of urgency. He doesn't want to win. There's not even an ultimatum. He hasn't gone to them and been like, okay, if I'm gonna stay, y'all gotta get me somebody. Y'all gotta get me an all-star, a couple of better players, whatever. But I need some. I want to win. Where's the urgency? He's in his mid-30s now. I don't understand. And I guess he wants to be a good guy and not request out of Portland. But nobody's gonna hate on you to finally request out of Portland. I hope
who's gonna hate on you?
Happens.
The 5 fans that show up to your games?
Yeah. No, I hope the trade happens.
Dude, like they owe you nothing. The city has not done anything for you.
You got what's your take?
This Damian Lillard whole thing in Portland, it's kind of like a 15-hour car ride with your family. You know, you got your little sister in the back. She's asking you, "Are you there yet?" And Dame's been asking him, "Are we there yet?" for I don't even know how long he's been there. Like, bro is just can't get. Bro, like again, I agree with you guys in the fact that like if we're I just don't. He didn't even play a lot last year. You know what I'm saying? Like
Because
he
they were going
played
to
what
save him to
50
trade
games.
him, and then they didn't trade him.
Like as the Portland Trailblazers, even as an organization, there's two things that can happen. You can save money, trade him, completely rebuild, and now even as the owners, you're saving money. As the owners, as the general managers, as things like that. Or you put a team together that can compete for a championship and you make even more money than you're saving. Which so I don't get this whole like why we still have Yusuf Nurkic on the roster. You know what I'm saying? Like that type of thing. Like he's not. He can't stretch the floor. He doesn't play good defense. He doesn't really block shots. He only rebounds.
He sets really hard screens. He rebounds well, and he's an effort guy.
Yeah, he stands there and he's big. Yeah, all right. All right.
He does it well, though.
Like, I mean, of course he's better than me. Hey, I would never doubt you. Hey, you cook me any day of the week. But I tell you, you trash in NBA terms. I'm sorry. But
no, I get it. I just think that you look at this Trailblazers team. They have this 3rd overall pick, which is very enticing. They could really do something. If they want to go and draft Brandon Miller and have a young guy, that's fine. But if they traded Dame and got another couple picks and then got a bunch of guys with that Brandon Miller pick, if they picked him, that would be crazy. Or if they went out and traded the 3rd overall pick and got a star back in return, they could go out and get Zion. We're talking about they could literally go out and package a deal for Zion to the Pelicans, and there's a chance to say yes. I don't know why there's no sense of urgency from Dame or the organization or the fans of Portland. They don't seem to care.
Because there's none of them. There's none of them. Is there a Portland football team? Is there a Portland hockey team?
They got the Timbers. The MLS team, they're pretty right. They got a cool family.
When's the last time you watched a Portland Timbers game?
MLS.
We're both soccer fans for those at home.
It would have been last year, like 2022, MLS playoffs. Dude, I don't even remember the score. It wasn't a full game. It was on. Like
I have played soccer at a high level my entire life. I could not name you a single player that has ever stepped foot on the field for the Portland Timbers. Anyways, back to basketball, and more importantly, my point. There's nobody in these stands. There's nobody in these comment sections. Damian Lillard requests a trade, get to the Lakers, get to the Miami, get to the Brooklyn Nets, get to the Bucks, get to a team, get to the Celtics. Somebody. A Jaylen Brown package for Damian Lillard? Yes. Make it happen.
Yeah.
I just can't.
I hope that his career isn't wasted, you know, because he's a dog. Like I remember
it's been wasted.
I know, I agree, but like at least give me a chip. Like I just want him to Dame is one of those guys that you just want to see succeed because he's such a good guy, and like even in the media, he seems like a great guy. Good. He's a solid rapper too. Hey, don't get it twisted.
Fellow.
Dame can freestyle.
Got the juice.
Got the juice. Hey, I'm not even gonna lie. So, but if we could just get Dame something, like somebody help himself, the organization help him, somebody please. Like it's just I feel so bad.
The trade could still go through. The Shams report was basically saying that Dame has no desire to leave. Obviously, they can still go ahead and trade him. It's not ultimately up to him. However, he is in no rush, which pisses us all off. But he does what he wants, man. I guess he loves it up there in the cold, wet rain. And he's not even a Nike athlete, but he loves it up there with the Nike factory over there and the Nike headquarters up in Portland. But he ain't even a Nike athlete. I
don't know. Anyways, moving on from that. Let's wrap our show up with our final conversation tonight, a little bit more pointed, a little bit more unfortunate. Ja Morant, 25-game suspension for his Instagram live antics. There's been stuff that's come out recently about some of the firearms that he was allegedly presenting on Instagram Live, it being a toy. Personally, that doesn't make much sense to me. Obviously, this is a little bit more serious than some of the other topics we've done had on this show. But what are your guys' final thoughts?
I think for me personally, the toy, the whatever, it doesn't really matter because ultimately nobody got hurt. Him owning a gun is also not illegal in any capacity in this country. The issue always comes down to how he's presenting himself, his own personal brand, the Memphis Grizzlies, and the NBA. And twice within a span of 2 months, he has failed to present the NBA in a positive light, and he's a superstar. And it's unfortunate there had to be action taken against him in terms of him being suspended for a quarter of the season, or more than a quarter of a season. But I think it just kind of had to be done. The way that he's consistently been able to put himself around people that probably aren't the best for him, the amount of times that incidents that involve potential violence. I mean, twice now with the gun. Another incident of him potential of the red dot against the Pacers, where allegedly there was a beam coming from some of Ja's boys,
Or the
like
mall with
the
his
mall
mom?
with his mom. Too many incidents now where he's presented himself as a guy that shouldn't represent the NBA. And I think the NBA is trying to say he's a great basketball player. This dude averaged 26 and 8 this last year on the second best team in the West. He's the kind of guy that could genuinely be the face of the NBA, and him consistently portraying himself bad in the media is just it's sad to see, man. I hope that he really takes this 25 game suspension to heart and realizes that this is the last strike you're gonna get before people really start to write you off as a character, not a basketball player, not as a talent, but as a character, and that's probably worse than him being written off as a basketball player.
Yeah, Myers, I totally agree. When we look at this Josh situation, again, you have to look at like from the NBA perspective. The NBA is a business. Like it's not like it's a business. And so imagine one of the poster people for your grocery store, for whatever, and they're going around showing a gun, things like that. You're going to lose customers or you're going to lose money, right? The NBA is losing money not showing Jaw on ads, not showing Jaw um, in certain places. You know what I'm saying? So, and then him as well. Like I saw, I don't know if it was Windhorse said this, but estimated 50 million losses, right? Like his Nike contract's up for debate. Like all of his brand deals are up for debate. So I just seeing somebody as talented as he is, I just hope he can turn it around. Again, um, I think from like Ryan said, from like a legal perspective, he didn't do anything wrong necessarily. He's only like if it's his gun, it's his gun. Like what? But it's just the image of everything. Like I just hope he can pull it back together and really turn it around for his sake, for his family's sake. Like, because again, we see a lot of these. At least I know I see more of them. These like fake gang bangers or whatever, blah 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 blah. They get themselves into trouble, and you get killed. So I'd hate to see something like that happen to Ja or anybody in his circle. So for that reason alone, like I feel like you just gotta just shut up and hoop.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't want to get too out in the weeds here, but I think that the media and culture owes Ja Morant an apology. I mean, a lot of people try to make this a political or a race issue, but I really think this is intertwined into the fabric of America. I mean, even fast forward before the Tupac and Big E days of really glamorizing that type of lifestyle, it was movies, Scarface, The Godfather, that the Italian gangster, the Irish gangster, well before it was a Blood or a Crip or anything like that, that was really the lifestyle was glamorized. Um, and I think Ja Morant has just fallen into the trap that a lot of people in this country, a lot of young men in this country fall into, and it's sad. And I just hope that he has the right people around him now and the wherewithal and the understanding of, hey, you're in a position to do a lot of good, for not only your community back home, but for your family, like you said, and your inner circle. And to throw that away, I mean, you could a lot of names come to mind like Jimmy Butler, DeMar DeRozan, John Wall, real make it out scenarios, and none of them are sitting there acting like that. I mean, we've seen John Wall throw up alleged gang signs, but other than that, DeRozan grew up in Long Beach.
Yeah.
It grew up
Real Crip. Like that dude
like
was an actual Crip in high school.
Yeah.
like the gangs literally made agreements to protect DeMar DeRozan. I don't think he was necessarily ever directly affiliated, but he grew up in those neighborhoods nonetheless. And I just feel like a guy like that, the NBA brotherhood needs to reach out to him. And I really don't think it's this 25-game suspension is really going to do much. But just for his character, and just in general, how I feel about the suspension, I think I agree with both of you. It needed to be done, and I think he's lucky it was only 25 games, and he hasn't lost in all of his endorsements. And like I said, too, he hasn't done anything illegal, and that was one thing that people were bringing up. He hasn't done anything illegal. People trying to make it political, talking about governors holding firearms and Christmas card photos and stuff like that. And I just feel like in the social media age, it's really easy to find false equivalences. And that was kind of part of the conversation. But for me, I just think that America is being personified. The problems with some of the culture of young men has really personified in Ja Morant. And I think that general issue needs to be addressed here more so than just specifically how it has affected the Memphis Grizzlies point guard.
Yeah, and I think the worst part about it all is that it's so self-inflicted.
Mm-hmm.
Both
it's tough to watch.
Incidents have just been Instagram lives. I mean, is it that? And this is what I mean when I talk about like inner circle. We talk about the people you hang around with needing to be good for you when you're in the NBA. If you're his boy and you know that you're with him and there's a firearm of any sorts in a car with around you guys, why are you turning on Instagram Live and showing the whole world that you're with your boy? I mean, obviously, if you want to show your boy you're with Ja Morant, you're his boy, whatever, you can do that. But there's a time and a place. When there's a gun involved, that's not the time nor the place.
And I would give a little pushback is because, especially in that second video, the firearms were without view. Ja acknowledges
that he's on live.
That he's on live, and he holds it up to his head, posing with it. At the end of the day, Ja Morant made a conscious decision to pose with a firearm on Instagram Live. However,
very true.
I do agree with you that it's kind of a ridiculous statement to get in trouble with it once and make the same mistake again
within months.
With a month. And it really derailed the Grizzlies season.
Yeah.
I mean,
heavily.
The antics of Dylan Brooks and Ja Morant killed the Memphis Grizzlies season. Whichever way you want to look at it, split it, that's the cold hard truth. And I just feel, like I said, I'm hoping that Ja Morant can move past this, and this is not something that we're going to have to deal with for the rest of his career, because he is just so talented and so fun to watch.
Yeah, I think he will, mostly because of money. You talk about the stuff, the money's in $50 million. Jay Will said on national television the day after the second incident happened, his kid ain't buying no Ja Morant shoes. He just dropped a shoe with Nike. He dropped his own shoe brand, and he's gonna lose a lot of customers off of this. And I think he's gonna talk to his agents, his family, organization, Nike, whoever else. They're gonna be like, "Yo, you keep doing this, bro. You're gonna lose all the money that has been almost promised to you." But I think he will turn it around. He's a young kid. All the reports about him have been he's a smart individual. He's not an idiot, from what we've heard from people. So I think he'll be okay. But this 25-game suspension was definitely warranted, and honestly lighter than I think what most people wanted to give him.
Also, real quick, my last point is you got to think about not only who you have now, but who you're going to have in the future. What happens when your daughter grows up and she grows and gets grown and has kids? Like, you're losing out on an opportunity for like generational wealth, for the Morant family to be successful for generations, just in general. So like that alone to me is like maybe not realizing that as much as he should. Like 50 million puts your daughter into school. She's might not even have to work after that. It's probably going to put her kids in school. It's going to pay for living expenses, all that. Like people don't realize how much 50 million, like we're throwing around NBA contracts or Twitch streamer contracts, or whatever the heck you want to call it. Like people don't realize how much money these people are actually getting. Like $1 million, that's why people save up for retirement. They save up for $1 million. Like that's how much they save, and that'll get you through the rest of your life. So I feel like if he can start to realize what everything he's going to be missing out on, not for just himself, but for his family, for his people around him, for the future generations of the Morant family, I think that just he has to get that into perspective.
Couldn't agree more. But alrighty, I guess that is all we have for you guys. It's been jam-packed. I mean, this offseason, I'm just thinking about last year, Myers. I don't think it was this hectic at all, and we're not even into the nit and gritty of it. I mean, just some names to throw out there: Kyrie Irving, James Harden, Kristaps Porzingis. Where are those guys going to go? Those are all $30 million plus contracts floating around in the NBA. But thank you guys all so much for tuning in for the third installment of To the Baja. We got so much in the works, and we're working hard to improve with every single show. Hoping we improve some of the audio from the last episode, made some tweaks behind the scenes this morning, so hopefully everything is up to the standard we like to set for ourselves. But from myself, Ronan Haycoop, Isai Romero from Denver, and Ryan Myers to my right, have an excellent night, everybody. We will see you all next Tuesday. All right, to the Baja.
Eight, 9, 10. Yo, on the pod.
You gonna start rapping or what? You say?
Oh, I didn't know if I was allowed to. I thought you.